Shut up and sit down.
It's the Maryland Sports Blog Weekly Recap Show, hosted by Adam Gott.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second episode of MSB Weekly. I'm your host, Adam Gott, and today I'm joined alongside a couple other of our MSB writers. Today we're going to talk about the Capitals and the travesty that's going on with them in their first-round playoff series. And then we're going to talk about the Nationals and the Orioles. And then after that, just go a little bit of a roundup of some other news that's affected our Maryland area sports teams. So first, we're going to talk about that travesty of a Game 3 today. The Capitals losing 2-1 in overtime. And I'll throw it over to Austin. Austin, what happened to the Caps?
Adam, it's the same kind of play that we've seen here for the last year or so. It's the kind of play that costs the Capitals Game 7 against Carolina. And it's the same play that, at the end of the day, when you look back at February, right after the All-Star break, it's the same kind of play that led them to dropping 7 of their last 10 before the break. They have absolutely no cohesion in the defensive zone. The offense is just kind of chip and chase, but they don't win any board battles. And their goaltending is it's just kind of poor. There's no kind of cohesion. I mean, I think the fault lies behind the bench. The Capitals gambled on Todd Reirden being as good as or better than Barry Trotz, and it just didn't work out. I think that's what you're going to look at the end of the day, is that it's a failed gamble by Washington leadership, thinking that an assistant coach was ready for the big time.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there. I think we all thought Reirden maybe had a chance to be as good as Trotz, but it turned out he just wasn't Barry Trotz. He's a good assistant coach. He was able to help them go to the Stanley Cup, but when it actually mattered, he just couldn't do it. So they're down 3-0. As much as it feels like it, the series isn't over. Do you think they have any sort of a chance, or is it done?
Well, I think that really that's a question that can only be answered by Todd Reirden and Washington. Washington's locker room. I think it was really interesting if you watched Capitals post-game today. Alan May and the rest of and Al Koken were hammering Todd Reirden. Todd Reirden promised that there were going to be changes coming to the lineup. And at the end of the day, yeah, he did make changes. Favari went in for Siegenthaler. Kempney came out and in went Gudas. And Travis Boyd stepped out and in walks Brian Pino. And, those are great changes, but it's too small. I mean, the Capitals got thoroughly outplayed in games 1 and 2. Game 3 was that's desperation time for Washington. I mean, the first period they had 6 shots. Only 2 of them were at even strength, and only 3 of them were even strength. And all 3 of them came from Washington defenders at least 45 feet away from the net, and nothing happened. So, the rest of the game they played a little bit better, but the philosophy behind the bench has to change. And there's been 0 zone entries that have worked. It's just chip it along the boards, lose the puck, and then they're back playing defense. They can't break the puck out of the zone. They rely way too much on just flinging the puck up the boards and hoping that they get it out. You watched that third period earlier today, and honestly, for some of overtime, they were just kind of flailing around trying to hit the puck out. And they have a chance. Washington is way more talented star power-wise. You've got Alex Ovechkin, Evgeny Kuznetsov, Tom Wilson, Lars Eller, TJ Oshie, Jacob Vrana. I mean, all 6 of those guys are as talented as New York Islanders' top line. They have a chance, and their defense is just as talented. I mean, John Carlson's going to win Defenseman of the Year. He's going to win. He's going to win the award this year, and he rightfully deserves it. I mean, he led the Blue Liners in points. He led the team in points. So there's talent all throughout Washington's lineup, but we got to see if they are capable of putting together 60 minutes. If they can put together 60 minutes, they can start chipping away. I mean, they did it 2 years ago against Columbus. They were down 2-0. but those were completely different circumstances. I don't have faith that they're going to do it. I think they're probably going to lose on Tuesday. We're going to see Braden Holtby in his last game in a Washington uniform, and there are going to be swift changes coming. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there. I think it'll be Holtby's last game. I think they end up going to Samsonov, and I think Reardon's got to go. But, now we can talk about, I guess, for half of you, some happy news. The other half after that will be some sad news. But the Nationals, seems like they're maybe starting to come out of that early season slump. They got another win today, and that was able to win the series against the Orioles. I'm now going to bring in Noah Ashker. Noah, what do you think the Nats have really changed about themselves to win this game? And then other than that, what they do the rest of the week before that?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. I mean, this week for the Nats, it's been really boom or bust. They played the series in the week against Baltimore, and then they went to the Mets and now back to Baltimore. They had 2 games where they scored over 15 runs, and the offense was really clicking. The record was still 4-4. They had the doubleheader. I think there was last Sunday they had a doubleheader. They also had a doubleheader where they finished the game that got postponed in Washington last week. So they had a 4-4 record, very boomer bust. Still had a +7 run differential, but a lot of injury news this week. In the Thursday game or the Friday game, Strasburg was put on the 10-day DL, exited in the first inning, had his nerve damage in his hand resurfaced. And David Martinez thinks he's going to be there for a long while, so I think that will definitely hurt the Nats going forward. Starlin Castro also went on the DL with a broken wrist. Another point that is very negative for the team, but on a positive, Luis Garcia, one of our top prospects, gets to fill in, and he also had his first major league hit this for his career. Was a RBI single to left field in that game. Sam Freeman also went on the DL, but Will Harris also rejoined the team, so looking forward to see him start. But it was a very boomer bust week for the Nats. The offense was clicking, and if the offense is clicking, we're going to be a tough team to beat. I mean, Max Scherzer has pitched better. Patrick Corbin had a rough start, so we'll see how he rebounds for the next one. But the one point I want to focus on is this team really, with Strasburg out, they really need Anibal Sanchez to step up, and he's had a rough year so far. He's been 0-3 this year with a 9.6 ERA. It's been real rough for him. Had a couple rough starts, one against the Orioles, one against the Mets. So we'll see how he goes. But it was a very boomer bust week, but I think it proves that if the Nats offense wakes up, this team, we're going to at least make the playoffs, especially with the expanded format.
Yeah, it's coming into this season, some people were saying there was a chance that they could even be better than they were last year. They had an improved bullpen this year, and they've already had injuries on the offensive side, though, which has hurt that. Like you said, Castro out with the broken wrist. The hope is that Luis Garcia can come in and be just as good, if not better. Yet he went 2 for 8 so far, and it's not amazing, but it's also his first games in the MLB. So, there's obviously a chance that he can become really good. People are saying he's the next Juan Soto. He literally looks exactly the same to Juan Soto when it comes to their swing. His first base hit was a classic Juan Soto blooper into left field. So he's got a chance to be really good. He's very Soto-esque. And if they can have another guy like that, that'll make their infield just absolutely insane. I mean, Keyboom is a great hitter. He has to improve a little bit defensively, but hitting-wise, he's non-stop just getting solid base hits. And then Turner, of course, a all-star, one of the best shortstops in the league. And then over at second, if Garcia can be good, I think he's really got a chance to fill in and be a really good player. And then, of course, Howie Kendrick at first base. Howie has been amazing his whole entire career, and he has not stopped now that he's 37 years old. So the Nationals, of course, your defending champs, the Orioles, in an exact opposite situation. They're coming off being the second worst team in the league, but now they're actually playing pretty well so far this season. And last week, up until this National Series, they swept the Phillies, and before that, they beat the Nats. So, Sean, what do you think has made this Orioles team so good, and what do they have to do to keep it up?
I feel like their defensive play, among a lot of things, has been one of their strong suits. I mean, I haven't seen as many double plays since, like, Manny Machado, Jonathan Scope era, and it's just a great viewing experience. I mean, whether they're hitting home runs or triples or what have you, their defensive play has just been on point so far. And that has been a key point of Brandon Hyde's management ever since he got there. And I think he's really starting to show it in year 2. That's for sure. They just got to keep putting the bat on the ball and keep driving it and keep getting runners on base, honestly.
Yeah, I think the way they've played so far this year, they've got a chance to be really good. You know, they had a error this past game against the Nationals earlier today. As you guys are seeing this on Monday, but on Sunday, an error that let the Nationals win. But other than that, their defense has been really good this year. And, you know, next up, they have Toronto and Boston, 2 not great teams. So they really have a chance to keep on winning, keep on doing good. And if they can do that, you know, coming into the season, we were thinking they were going to get the first pick. Maybe they can challenge the Yankees for that first spot in the AL East. Is that all you guys have about those 3 teams in season?
I think so.
All right, sounds good. So now I guess let's just head in to what's been going on in the rest of the sports world. Of course, starting off the week, it did not go well. The Big Ten and Pac-12 both postponed all fall sports. For the Pac-12, it was all sports going into the new year, and it was something that we all saw coming, I think, at least for the Big Ten and Pac-12. But Big 12, SEC, ACC, they're still planning on going. We'll see if it gets canceled between now and September. But as of now, we might have college football. I mean, it's interesting to have guys that aren't getting paid to risk their lives to play, but also there's the argument that they're safer in a bubble in college than they would be at home, and I think that makes sense when you really think about it. After college football, the Wizards, they won a game. You know, ended up going 1 for 7 in the bubble, but they won 1 of those 8, and honestly, that's good enough for me. Even without Rui Hachimura, Thomas Bryant really showing that he has a chance to become a better center in this league. Definitely he has a chance to become above average. 26 points in that last game, a part of that 96-90 win against the Celtics. After that, we'll talk a little bit of pro football. Alex Smith cleared to play. I mean, one of the best comeback stories that we've seen in a long time. He was on the verge of death. He had an awful infection in his leg. Half of his leg was basically off. But now he's able to come back, and just about less than 6 months later, he has a chance – or sorry, not less than 6 months, over a year later. Over a year later, he's got a chance to maybe even play. I don't think he'll start. I don't think he'll really play at all. I think he'll just be a developmental guy for Haskins. But you know what? They have Kyle Allen and Haskins in front of it. I don't think he'll really play that much. And then after that, we talk a little bit of Ravens. Matt Sikora back practicing. That's another great story coming back from that torn ACL. And you know what? He's really going to help that offensive line for the Ravens. So that's all I have. Do you other guys have anything else to add on before we end it?
No, we covered it.
All right, that's about all. Thank you all for joining us for week 2 of the MSB Weekly Recap Show. I've been your host, Adam Gockin, joined alongside Noah Ashker, Sean Morter, and